even though we are in direct communication with HUAA and its president, Charlie Lewis, for purposes of what we're doing. So since the board announced that they were striking stakeholders, and I'm gonna ask you to mute your phones, please. Since the board announced that it was striking stakeholders, there were a number of student government folk, including myself, and going all the way back to Tim Jenkins, who's on the line here, from the class of 1960 to Hewitt Brown, 1968, and student leaders from 1974, especially 1975, my class, 1989, the students that were involved in the student takeover, April Silver, who I hope is also on the line, and the 2018 students as well. And we were outraged by the proposition. And we were outraged by the proposition for a number of reasons, the least being the process by which it actually happened and what we were told by the board and then what we subsequently learned. So we've operated, despite being emotionally upset, we have operated in 3 different phases. Our first phase was to collect information. And we did so dependently and independently. Several of us spoke with people on the board, and we also spoke with alumni stakeholders. We spoke with Charlie Lewis, we spoke with the USA president as well to gather information. And when we gathered the information, we became even more disturbed because we believe the process was not transparent. We believe that we were told things that were not true. Charlie Lewis in his public record stated that there was no communication with him regarding the issue of shared governance. And he was only told 10 minutes before the change was put into play that it was going to happen. Needless to say, we have had several meetings. And the first meeting was when Timothy Jenkins actually gave a presentation that is on record if you'd like to see it, about the history of shared governance. And he spoke from the perspective of someone who's been who's been in leadership as a student, as a trustee, as legal counsel to President Cheek, among other things. And it was insightful to gather that history. We support shared governance, those of us who are involved with the concerned stakeholders. We also believe that the process and the integrity of the process and the transparency of the process leading to striking a shared governance is very of significant concern. The second meeting we had, the first meeting, it was 170 or so alumni on the call. The second meeting, there were 250 persons on the call. Between the first meeting and the second meeting, we still reached out to the board, but to the credit of the student leaders, the former student leaders, over a period of 1960 to 2021, we drafted an Anita Mayo, attorney Anita Mayo, among other lawyers, but chiefly Anita Mayo out of San Francisco. She and her husband are both Howard graduates, and a group of others prepared a letter to the board. And what was critical in the letter is that we also cited a 2020 self-study, which we commend to your attention and which is available by the university, that it prepared in the process of seeking its accreditation, prepared in March 2020, and there was later attention given to it. The university received accreditation as a result of the self-study in 2021, but the self-study promotes significantly, and you'll hear further from Anita, shared governance. So there was a contradiction between what was presented to the Middle States folk and actually what happened after accreditation occurred. To that point, we sent a letter. That letter was signed by not only Timothy Jenkins, but Hewitt Brown, April Silver, Amos Jackson, and just a whole slew of folk. And you'll see it because the letter is part of the, you have access to that letter here. So at this point, we come out of phase 1 in terms of getting information, and and attempting to have a dialogue, and attempting to have a dialogue with the administration. we are now at a point where we're going into a different phase of organization, and I'll talk about that a little bit further. But I will tell you this, and we'll hear from Thina regarding how we're going to be structured, because we are loosely structured to some extent, but we have an incredible complement of Howard graduates in engineering, technology, business organization, law, et cetera, that are coming together to put structure to this particular effort. It is not going to be easy, and some people may not understand what that means, but the university and the board are entrenched with all caps, bold, underlined in their position. So without further ado, I will just say this. We have organized a technology committee, a communications committee, a social media committee, and I want you to hear what I'm saying, an alumni independence committee. And we have two simultaneous tracks. One is accountability and transparency with shared governance on the board, and that will be explained. But we also believe and have ascertained to a significant extent that part of the stagnation that we see with alumni, we have 80,000 alumni, 700 voted in the HUA election, is because the Alumni Association is basically an appendage of the university. It's not a bad thing. We love the university, but we think that we could flourish being independent. And that means raising more money, doing more things, and not having the university police the Alumni Association, tell them how much they're going to spend, this, that, this, that, this, that. And we're going to get into that later. But we're studying that issue, and we're studying it unapologetically and aggressively. So Anita, I wanted to thank you, and we're going to move to the second part of this agenda, where Anita is going to summarize. We'll have some discussions about the letter that we sent to the board.
All right, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Before I summarize the contents of the letter that Jim and I prepared, I want to thank several individuals who took the time to review the letter and provide comments, which resulted in a stronger and more effective letter. And that includes Donald, Damani, David Dupre, and Paul Cotton. And I also want to thank April Erickson, who provided us with the names of the 2021-22 members of the Board of Trustees, and Damani for providing email addresses of various board members. And finally, I want to thank those alumni who consented to be signatories on the letter. Unfortunately, we only had a couple of days to canvass alumni and obtain their consent to be included on the letter, because we wanted to forward the letter to the board prior to their meeting last Friday. And as someone has already indicated, you should be able to find a copy of the letter in the chat section. So in the beginning of the letter, Jim and I wanted to set a framework from which to address the concerns of the alumni regarding the elimination of the affiliate trustee positions. We thus initially summarized the comments made by Dr. Lawrence Morse, who is the chair of Howard's Board of Trustees, the remarks that he made during the June 18th town hall meeting. Dr. Morse stated during the town hall that the university retained the services of IES, a consulting firm that produced a report which presumably made the following findings. One, the affiliate trustee positions create an inherent conflict of interest because these trustees are elected by their respective stakeholder groups. Two, the purpose of the affiliate trustee is to expand communications with each respective stakeholder group, and apparently that is not being done. Three, approximately 40 plus stakeholders interviewed by the consulting firm apparently agreed that the current board governance structure is not working. Four, over 70% of universities do not have shared governance. And five, a better approach to shared governance is for stakeholder groups to serve as voting members on board committees, but not on the board. To refute these findings, we summarized the history of shared governance at Howard University, dating back to about 1926 when alumni began to serve on the board. We began with a quotation in Howard University, the first 100 years, 1867 to 1967, authored by the esteemed historian, Dr. Rayford W. Logan. In summarizing the history of the alumni and its relationship with the Board of Trustees, Dr. Logan stated that the acrimonious relationship between the two greatly improved when Howard revised its election procedures to permit the alumni to elect trustees directly to the board. The letter then summarized the importance of affiliate trustees addressed in 3 studies conducted by or at the request of the university. In 1974, Arthur Little issued a report specifically focusing on the governance and management structure of the university. The 1974 report embraced shared governance, which included affiliate trustees. In a discussion about the wishes of the faculty's executive committee to actively participate in the board's policy formulation process, the report recommended against that approach and stated the following: we suggest that student and faculty participation in actual policy formulation be focused where it is now, in the hands of elected student and faculty trustees, acting as equals with the other trustees on the board. The report also stated that since the addition of faculty and student trustees, the board adequately represents the university's internal constituencies. The 2009 study further embraced shared governance when it acknowledged that because board membership includes the president and constituent representatives, namely alumni, faculty, and students, all stakeholders are involved in the university's decision-making process. The most recent self-study was conducted by the university in 2020 as part of the accreditation process. Again, the report embraced shared governance, and one of its key findings was that the leadership of the university has been deliberate about including all stakeholders in major decision-making. We then turned our attention to refuting Dr. Morris's reasons why Howard should eliminate the affiliate trustee positions. Dr. Morris's first reason for eliminating the trustee position is because the position, as I indicated earlier, creates an inherent conflict since the trustee is elected by a stakeholder group. To rebut this rationale, we point out that board policy prohibits trustees from functioning as advocates for any group. More importantly, we noted that affiliate trustees can concurrently serve as representatives of their constituent groups and exercise independent judgment in the best interest of Howard. Dr. Morris's second reason for eliminating the affiliate trustee position is that the purpose of such trustees is to expand communications with the stakeholder groups, but that is not being met. We countered by stating that the purpose of an affiliate trustee is not to expand communications with the stakeholder group, but rather to serve and make informed decisions in the best interest of Howard University, and to ensure that the interests and viewpoints of the stakeholder groups are considered when appropriate. The third reason for eliminating the affiliate trustee position is that the current board governance structure is not working, and that conclusion was based on interviews with a near 40+ stakeholders. We stated that the university should have used mass emails, surveys, and a series of town halls to obtain input on this issue from a much larger number of stakeholders, and certainly prior to the time the decision was made to eliminate the affiliate trustee positions. The fourth reason for eliminating the affiliate trustee positions was the fact that over 70% of universities do not have shared governance. We do not believe this is an appropriate justification. We stated that Howard University is a unique institution with a unique model of governance justified by the historic circumstances which led to the establishment of the university. We noted that to eliminate shared governance does a disservice to the past, present, and future student, faculty, and alum. Given the current climate of efforts throughout the country to suppress the vote, we stated that now is not the time to eliminate the affiliate trustee position. And finally, Dr. Morris stated that a better approach is to include members of stakeholder groups as voting members of board committees. In rebuttal to this rationale, we noted that board committees merely make recommendations, which the board can accept or reject. More importantly, this approach diminishes the stakeholders in the development of university policies, essentially disenfranchising the various stakeholder groups. We requested that the board take action immediately to reverse its decision to eliminate affiliate trustees. We concluded the letter by requesting copies of the consultant's report, board and committee minutes covering the affiliate trustee deliberations, the board bylaws in effect at the time the decision was made, and any newly revised board bylaws. The letter was signed by 26 members of stakeholder groups, including former alumni trustees, former undergraduate and graduate student trustees, former student leaders, and former HUAA presidents, vice presidents, region chairs, and representatives and club presidents. The letter was emailed to Dr. Morse, President Frederick, Christy Taylor, who is the board secretary, and board members on July 15th. As of today, we have not received a response to the letter. And Donald, that concludes my summary.
Thank you.
Can I just ask a really quick question, Donald? I haven't opened the letter. Did the current president of the Alumni Association sign the letter, Charlie Lewis?
No.
Was that answered, Anita?
No.
No. We did discuss that with Charlie, and he was involved in every phase of that process. But no. And we have had regular and ongoing discussions with Charlie to let him know exactly what we're doing, including on today. So we're doing everything we can to let him know. The politics of the AUAA are a little different because of their connection to the association, et cetera, but that's another story. Let me follow and let me explain to you what we're going to do. So we'll have a period for questions. Helen Higginbotham and Damani King are going to give perspectives from where we sit. And then Dina is going to explain how we're approaching the organization, the efforts structurally. And then we'll talk about where we're going in terms of the phases. We're now in a phase 2 period, which will precede a phase 3 period in terms of our strategy. So we're going to turn it over to Damani. Damani?
Okay, thank you very much, Donald. And let me add my appreciation and thanks and admiration to the work that Anita and James did, and as well as the others who contributed. It's an excellent, excellent letter. There's a lot of things that we are doing at this point, and some of them may seem counterintuitive. And I'm about to introduce one of those. As a former alumni trustee and a staff member for 32 years with some interaction with the board, one of the insights I would bring to this discussion is that very often when alumni voice concerns or complaints or even offer suggestions, one of the first things that's done within the university is to look up their record of support. And of course, people support the university in a lot of ways, but the only thing they can look up is the money. How much has this alumnus, who now claims to be so concerned and is criticizing everybody for what they're doing, have they put their money where their mouth is? And so we've had some discussion about this, and I do want to say that there's nothing like any kind of unanimity around this idea, but I'm going to put it in the chat right now. We are suggesting that people contribute to the university. And in honor of the protest of 1968, which was the impetus that brought about representation of of students and faculty on the board, because as Anita said, alumni trustees, that is trustees selected in part by alumni, have been on the board for almost 100 years. But 1968 was a watershed moment and made Howard University a leader in shared governance in the entire country. And the board's action, in my opinion, relegates us as a university to a followership position. So we're suggesting to people within your means to contribute $19.68 or $196.80 or $1,968, or if you got the big bucks, $19,068. So the idea is to, when your name is signed to the next letter or petition that goes to the board, and they look you up, they will see that you have contributed. And you can designate the area that you want your funds to go to. I did mine for student financial aid, which is what I normally do. So that's the main thing I wanted to say at this point. Helen?
Okay. Hi, everyone. I just wanted to, I write a lot. For those of you who don't know, I'm sending stuff all the time. And I sent out something a little while ago that I had written just about some immediate thoughts. I mean, I've been writing on this since it first came out. Even the first video that they put out, I responded to it. And one of the things Donald is always trying to get us to do is please respond. So I know that we're reading things and we're liking them, but we need to have responses out there so that, you know, the board or whoever can see that we are engaged and serious. So whether it's on Facebook or YouTube or whatever, please leave a response. So the other day, one of the things that I find very interesting about all of this is that on the one hand, we have the university billing ourselves, our faculty, our students, all of us as, you know, the premier go-to HBCU products. And yet, and they're telling, you know, employers, other boards of trustees or boards of directors that, you know, you can count on Howard people to show up and be the best. And at the same time, they are rejecting us themselves. So it's a conflict, it's a contradiction in message to me that they're sending. So on the one hand, you're telling the rest of the world to rely on us and to believe in us, and then to treat us in this way. And I find it very interesting, insulting actually, that they haven't even bothered to respond to not only Anita's letter, but I see somebody, Eric, put in the chats that Charlie also sent a letter, and how many letters have been sent that we don't know about. And the very fact that they're so comfortable with just blowing us off this way, so I'll just read just a piece of what I said. I said, you know, it is problematic that as Howard holds itself, its students, its faculty, and its alumni out to be of the Mecca, the premier HBCU, producing the best and the brightest the world has to offer, its decision to remove said stakeholders from the Board of Trustees signals a very opposite and disparaging message to the world that we are not competent, capable, or trustworthy, and is instead received as a vote of no confidence in us by even Howard University, who dishonor her own for the whole world to see. They see us and they hear them, the Board of Trustees. And I think also what's important to point out is that, you know, I think we teach the world how to treat us. And, you know, I question in the piece that I wrote last week is what is Howard's responsibility to show the rest of the world how to treat Black folks, right? So the very things that Howard is being accused of right now are things that we would be up in arms about if in fact it was happening by white folks. And I go as far to say that, you know, I think the anonymous letter from Imani Light, God bless her, whoever she is, very powerful and brave letter. But, you know, whether it's exploitation, like I see union busting, like what are they doing with our faculty, paying our faculty paltry wages while the president is getting a huge salary. These are the kinds of things that if white folks were doing them to us, and just treating people poorly in the workplace. I do labor law, so that's real important to me. So I'm just saying that as a community, can we all lift our voices and be a part of this discussion, however we see fit. And I hope you don't get tired of my writing, but I will be writing a lot. And I hope that you'll join in. So thank you, Donald.
Thank you. Let me make the record clear as to the written and the written communications in the meetings, because the letter that was sent by the concerned alumni and signed by former student leaders came after we actually had a meeting and reached out to the board. We had a meeting with Reed Tuckson, Rock Newman and I, with Reed Tuckson and the vice president of communications for the school. It was an intimate meeting and informal, and he was extremely sensitive and kind. I mean, we didn't agree, but what we were told is that, and that was over 2 weeks ago, that he would get back with us. We haven't heard anything in that regard. Rock himself spoke to the president after the letter, and we were told that there would be an engagement. There's nothing. We now learned that the Alumni Association wrote a letter and there was no response. But what we're gathering here is that this issue is about shared governance, and then not about shared governance only. You know, the process here is a real problem in terms of the manner in which it was done. And so we're looking very closely at that process. I'm going to turn over to Fina, though, so you can kind of see how we're beginning to organize. And we're saying that very transparently, even though we're confident that somebody on this call of over 200 people is probably taking notes and passing it on to the board. It's not, we're not concerned with that, because we want to be clear in terms of the integrity of our position. We're not running or hiding anything. And so we are going to share with the alumni, and we're hoping that the alumni will take this information and bring other alumni into the discussion and into the debate and into the engagement. Fina. Fina's background is project management, and she has risen to the occasion to help us put structure to this particular effort. Fina?
Yeah, I'm here. Oh, just feedback. Okay, we have a little feedback. But yes, I am a project manager, and I just reached out to Donald and said, you know, we have a lot of good talent and we should form committees. So a lot of people have reached out saying, what can we do? What can we do? So we have some committees that we've identified. I put a link that Angela Trapp, my engineering, School of Engineering classmate, put together. So the first committee is digital and technology. So we want to have a team that just deals with all of our database, anything technology related. And I'll be serving on that committee with Angela. This is open to any alum that wants to serve. The other committee is communications messaging. So that's talking points, press releases, media messaging, this team will work closely with social media. So we see this as an ongoing effort. And as Donald talked about, alumni independence, we're trying to galvanize all of the alum. The other committee is research. So information needed, any background information needed, any assistance with overall strategy. If you're good with research, please sign up on that committee. Social media, that's self-explanatory. So distributing a consistent message via social media, educating our alum and motivating our stakeholders. If you have expertise in that area, please sign up. The link is there. Strategy, that's the overall direction and approach for this overall initiative. And finally, the Alumni Independence Committee. So that's establishing an independent alumni organization. One of the goals we want to have is we don't have an overall list of alumni. There's a lot of challenges with getting a comprehensive contact list for all of alum. And our goal is we want to get 10,000 names, up-to-date names of alum. So we're going to work with the social media committee and all of you on this call to share this link and get other people to sign up. So if you don't want to be on the committee, just please provide your contact information and you don't have to sign up for a committee. But we're trying to get more organized and be able to contact people immediately about information. And finally, when we do have a town hall, we'll be able to have a comprehensive list. A lot of times we're getting the word out grassroots, but we'll be able to have these 10,000 people that we can reach out to and have a very large town hall meeting with as many alum as possible. So that's just a start for our getting a little more organized.
You're mute.
Thank you.
Does that conclude your presentation?
I'll turn it back over to Donald. Thank you.
Thank you. Angela Trapp,
Yes,
can you explain what you're going to be doing on the technology side?
sure. So my name is Angela Trapp. I'm a graduate of the School of Engineering. My expertise is data management and pretty much many things technology. I will be supporting Thina, Donald, Dean King in their technology needs. We put together the form. We will be putting together a petition that I think they'll talk later about. So basically anything that they need, any support that they need from a technological standpoint, I will be supporting and making suggestions. And obviously we welcome any assistance from other alumni who would like to serve on the technology committee. Thank you.
So we're in the process, thank you, Tina. We're in the process of filling the committees with folk. There are volunteers across the board. The people that have volunteered to serve in the social media committee as well. We would ask you, please, if you're interested and if you support the cause, to do so. Wanted to direct our attention to the substance because there are questions related to the Chairman Morse's press release today. That press release was issued and we received it earlier in the evening. And it's basically a 2-page press release that substantially mirrors the earlier statement that he gave at the at the trustee board meeting or trustee town hall meeting, which is probably a misnomer. It was a trustee meeting. And we were told exactly what the board was going to do. The problems that we see with that particular press release mirror the problems that we saw in Chairman Morse's original statements. It does not discuss the fact that the process is still at issue. We're being told that this process resulted in a change based on certain substantive conflicts in terms of the role of stakeholder trustees, but also based upon a consultant report that we have never seen. And that consultant report basically is done by an outside consultant, and it is making particular recommendations, presumably particular recommendations, and we don't even know what those recommendations are. We don't know who they spoke to. We have no information regarding a document that the board prepared. And so the process remains a major issue for us because now we're being asked to follow and to support recommendations that are developed inconsistent with what the board stated in the 2020 study in terms of the way that it develops decision-making on quote unquote material issues. So that remains of significant concern. But substantively, and others may comment on it, the fact that the board has reduced the vote of stakeholders to the committee level and presupposes that it is equally valid to not have a vote at the board level than to have a vote at the subcommittee level has the same kind of weight and the same kind of implication. But we refute that. And the best example that we had was, and Rock Newman, who was on the board as an alumni trustee, spoke about that, because the board is self-contained and there are times when stakeholders articulate issues that the board is clueless about and that it makes a difference. But the leverage that happens when a stakeholder has the benefit of a vote is significant. It's no different than in the Congress with Eleanor Holmes Norton. She has a vote on the committee, but doesn't have a vote on the floor. And so that voter dilution has an implication that we disagree with. And I would say to you this, though the committees have been discussed, the letter and the attention that's been given to this matter, there are a lot of lawyers on this call, and there are a lot of Howard University Law School lawyers, of which I'm not one, but there are a lot of them. And there are a lot of lawyers who've gone to a lot of different schools who are also looking at the legality of the board's action in terms of the procedures. There's not a formal committee there, but that is equally front and center in terms of the third phase of our operation. We are planning next to have a town hall meeting. So for the record, we have attempted to speak to everyone in terms of stakeholders. We speak routinely with the HUAA Association. We speak routinely with the USA president. We speak with past USA presidents, and we've attempted to have meaningful communication with the board. It's our belief at this particular stage that we're minimized. We talked about creating a list. Why is this group talking about creating an alumni list? Because the HUAA has been told that they do not have access to the alumni list, because the university believes that they can't trust the HUAA to have access to the alumni list for whatever reason. The HUAA has to ask the university for permission for funding its activities or not. Those activities also have to be approved, reviewed, and approved by the administration, no matter how beneficial they are to the alumni. So there are concerns there that are major. And I say that to say that there are two tracks for us. One is that shared governance is critical. Secondly, we acknowledge, and we're all guilty of not stepping up to the plate, but there's a reason that that happens, because we as alumni are a sleeping giant of high order. We are the magic of the Mecca. We have experienced the student life. We have all gone on and done things with our respective lives. And it's commendable, so much so that the alumni, the university celebrates it. But we need to rise to the occasion, but we can't rise to the occasion if we have a patronizing, condescending relationship with the administration. If the way that we are viewed, we're on the other side of the umbilical cord, and that's just the reality. But we're studying that, and I've had conversations with people, and they said the first thing they said, well, why is this? Why do we have to exist in this situation? And we believe that we should look at some of the more successful alumni associations in the country, and how they thrive, how they're vibrant, how they operationalize the relationships among alumni, how they capitalize. We also think financially that we can create a foundation, a foundational arrangement in the association where we can get more than 1,000 alumni to begin to put up a seed money in the amount of $1,500, and we can raise more than $1 million to show the university that that's the beginning stage of an independent alumni association. But the way that we are treated, the way that we are disrespected, and we hear it daily. Charlie has experienced it, and HUA experiences it. How they deal with it is another story, but we refuse to deal with it in that manner. And some of us have not been involved, and for whatever reasons. but we want to engage or re-engage and strengthen the alumni presence and association. So that's the second track of where we are. And it's not going to be happening at a slow pace, either of these two things, or an apologetic pace. The board is entrenched in its position. It's entrenched in defending a process that offended stakeholders and probably in many respects even potentially violated its own procedures. With that, if you have questions, we're prepared to have some discussion for a limited period of time. And then we're not going to take up all of your time this evening. So if you would, and Helen, I guess you can, or Angela, as co-host, you can see the hands raised, and we can try to answer your questions, and the people, other persons than myself can also make that attempt.
Are we doing the hand raise? Because on my laptop, I can't find it. Can we just shout out? Look at
Shout out, that's sure agree.
Let me
Yeah.
say this before we do that, Donald. Can we get a pulse, raise hands? How many people are on this call that are faculty? Because I've reached out to some faculty and not gotten a response. So I see 1, 2.
I don't see the raised hand on my laptop. I saw it on my phone, but I don't see it on my laptop.
Okay, so can you all please, we want this to be a united effort. So we need, we want students, we want faculty and alumni, because I would like to see this backfire on the university and the fact that where they were trying to discredit us, instead they united us. So that's what I'm hoping. So if you all can get as many faculty and students as well, we must be sure. Unfortunately, I have a commitment on Sunday. I cannot support their town hall meeting, but otherwise I would be there. But we need to do that Sunday at 5 o'clock, right, Donald?
That's correct.
Yeah,
Okay.
so you should have gotten the link, and if not, I'll send it out to you today.
Thank you, and thank the faculty members who did join.
Thank you, faculty members who are here.
Dr. Carr, good to see you. So if there are questions.
Yeah, it's a question and clarification and a comment at the same time, all of this. So I noticed that the contribution was 1968. It sounded like that's like I don't know if there's significance behind that. It sounds like that's somebody's class. I mean, does it matter what amount we give? That's number one. Number two.
Let's deal with number one. Bill can answer that first. Bill?
Yes, what I said in preface to that was that we would chose that amount in recognition of the protests of 1968,
That's
which
right.
laid the groundwork
Yeah.
for the form of shared governance that we had until last month.
Okay, got it. I'm sorry, that just totally went over me, and I did hear that. I'm really sorry.
On that note,
No problem.
As an anecdote, I posted an article on my Facebook page on that particular period of time. It's not to be understated. The work that the students did, the sacrifices that they made, they were very articulate and very thoughtful in that process. So I posted that. So if you didn't really follow that article is really informative. Next question.
So at the second, and actually it's going to cut down to 3 now. There's been a lot of conversation in the chat. My understanding, again, this is probably towards Damani, from what you said, it really doesn't matter where we designate those funds go, because they're going to be checking. It sounds like we all are going to be signing a letter. And if they look for all of our names, they're going to see that we've made a contribution, whether we want it to go to the football team, the cheerleaders, the ladies of Howard University, wherever we want that money to go, that's not going to matter. They're just going to want to see that these individuals have contributed. Am I understanding that correctly?
That not only are you understanding it correctly, but I would say that it would be unwise of us to try to tell Howard alumni where they should designate their funds. I think
Great.
You should designate it to the place that's closest to your heart.
Okay.
Okay. Next
Thank you.
question. Thank you. Next
I'm
question.
done.
As a rule, we're going to try to keep the questions to 30 seconds or so.
Okay, you know I'm wordy, Donald. Okay, I said I have questions and a comment. I just want to thank you guys for putting this together. This, I think by far, we've had 3, Talon, stop laughing at me. This is the 3rd meeting. It's been great. It's been concise. We've got an action plan, which is what I appreciate. So Thank you to all who put it together. Thanks, Tina, for creating those committees. I'm done. I really am.
And
Sure,
those
sure,
of you who
sure.
know how to use the Zoom, raise your hand apparatus. You can raise your hand in the screen and we'll be able to see you.
Yeah, sure. Let me echo something. I don't even know how we're here or how we do what we're doing because ain't nobody here elected to nothing. And so it's all volunteer and I don't even know how I'm here, except to say this is that we're glad you're here. And it's important because this issue is seminal to the future of the university, believe it or not. Some people are being casual about it. Let's say this issue is seminal because it's not just about shared governance. It's about where Howard is going and how it's going to get there. Somebody said to me tonight, one of our student leaders said that it's really about the way that the board views things is from the point of the balance sheet only, but it's disconnected to the spirit of the university. It's disconnected to the student history. It's disconnected to the alumni sentiment, and it's disrespecting the students and the alumni. And the faculty issue has its own apparent kind of dynamic. So that's where we are. Next question.
So we have David Dupree. Your hand is up next. David. Is he with us? His hand is up, so he's here.
Probably mute.
Yeah, I'm plugged here. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yeah.
we hear you.
Great, great. I viewed a letter that came out today. It was sent to all the students. And I view it as them thumbing their nose at us. And that them sending a letter out was a direct attempt to minimize what we have done and focus on what they consider to be their primary constituents, the students. And so what we have to do is what we're doing tonight, of course, but we also have to take some stronger affirmative steps to let them know that, hey, yeah, you're trying to affirm what you've done and put it in the minds of students, but the fact still remains that it's not just that we want to vote on a committee, we want the vote back that was on the trustee board, which was so crucial to the whole realm of shared governance. And so I'm really just pissed at that letter that came out today, which he just thumbs his nose at us, doesn't address us, but addresses the students. So we gotta get it going. That's all I wanted to make people aware of. If anybody, I don't know if y'all posted that particular letter. I sent it to Damani and Donald.
It is posted.
Okay, great.
One of the other things that I think we haven't chimed in on is that one of the other things that the school, unfortunately, is going to be responsive to is negative publicity. And in this week alone, we've had the Washington Post has covered this. Donald actually covered it in the Florida Star. That's a joke. I thought you were going to explain that earlier, Donald.
I can't explain it. The art, I don't even write on this alumni Facebook page until this issue arose, but I've been commenting. And so I wrote a piece about Howard and where we're going. And apparently the piece that I wrote without my permission, without my knowledge, without any communication, appeared today on the front page of the Florida Star, a Jacksonville, Florida newspaper, as the lead story in the paper, which was absolutely incredible to me. And I am going to contact them and tell them that they didn't have my permission. I'm not going to make a big fuss about it, but it just shows you that people are watching what we're doing. And this issue is going to intensify. I should tell you that Rock Newman personally told the board members that you are creating a catastrophe by what you're doing. And at a certain point, you're not going to be able to control it. The students come back on August the 6th. They are going to have an orientation. The students' government is very connected to what we're doing. And what we're trying to do is fend off something that can be extremely embarrassing to the university. I should tell you, I've also learned from independent sources that the university's appropriation is potentially getting favorable consideration in the Congress, and the numbers will be increased meaningfully. And the attention that could be given to this issue could politically hurt the university. There are a lot of people that don't like us, don't want us to see, don't want to see us educated competitively and the like. So we can't explain that. Next question.
Yeah, and they will blame us, but it's them who sparked this off to put it in the press. Karen Williamson, you're next. Karen.
Hi, this is Karen Williamson. My hand was up because you asked for a person to support IT and development in that area. And my area of expertise has been in engineering systems. So that's why I had my hand up, but I just didn't put it down. Hello, Donald. It's good to see you. And I've been tracking this as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Randall, you're next. Randall, I can't say your last name.
Mangum is fine. Mangum.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I applaud the leadership of this group, and I think that we should not despise small beginnings. I am very deeply concerned that an alumnus, well, I've read many things, and we've read the faculty letter, and if that type of thing is happening at the university and we are not involved, we are allowing people to do things, and it is our university and we cannot give it away. Even if we have competing interests and someone else is trying to pull strings, and I will say that in code, but rather that, one, I want to be on the independence committee, and I would like to ask those that are on this line, you've gotten your COVID shot or not. I have not seen a date for homecoming. Is it appropriate? And I just want to ask this question, and we can still do Zoom, of course. And I do know quite a few people text me back, email me back, they would not be on the phone tonight or Zoom. But if we had a meeting in DC personally during the time that homecoming is about to happen, how many people would think that would be an appropriate thing at this time? Or is that something we need to not try to do? And I apologize, Donald, I didn't get a chance to talk to you about this, and Damani, but I just want to just get a feel for, is it too early for anyone to think about a meeting in DC?
I think that's appropriate. We talked to, anything that's going to, we don't know where we'll be in October on this issue. I think there'll be a lot of interesting developments in August and September, truthfully. That's appropriate. Even if it's resolved, I think the concerned alumni stakeholders should meet, because we plan to study this issue of alumni independence. And there are too many damn lawyers on this call for us not to operation, too many people with MBAs and management degrees and finance degrees for us not to be able to figure out. And we have something that's interesting. In 3 meetings in 3 weeks, we've had on average over 200 alumni take out some time on Thursday nights to talk about Howard University. And we have on the line people from the class of 1960 through the class of 2020. And we have Kappas, Deltas, Sigmas, Zetas, Betas, Phi Beta. We have everybody that we need to create and coalesce to develop an engine to refuel this whole alumni effort. Is something that the board is not have the capacity to do. And because of the relationship that HUAA has with the board, it doesn't have the capacity to do, but we can recreate that, and Charlie can still be president of a new entity, but we can't continue to be dependent. We're almost like a colony. I told you that we are like Bermuda and the board is like Great Britain in terms of what it can do. We just can't do that and expect to have success. That also means that we had to dig into our pockets, me including and others, and make a difference in terms of how we support the university. And we think that's an achievable thing. So we can do it in October. We can do it and maybe in Martha's Vineyard. Ask Sarah, we could do something there. We have to begin to be consistent, be heard, and to be effective.
Exactly.
I just want to get a feel, and I know everybody's on mute right now, but is that, because I know people talking about going to Martha's Vineyard and partying, and I don't have a room, and they telling me I will probably not be able to get one. But I would like to really know, because I think we should raise immediately $1 million. And when you divide that by 10,000 people, that's very little. If you divide it by 1,000 people, that's just 1,000 people, giving $1,000 or raising $1,000. It's very doable. And I think it's appalling, and I've mentioned it to a couple of people before, when I heard that the Alumni Association that I'm a member of, and that we are a member of, is waiting for the university to give them $160,000 to operate on. That is backwards. And I think that every alumni, I'm a member of a few other alumni, and I've seen them operate. And I think that it is our job to do what we need to do, because I hear too many rumblings and it's too late after the fact, you know, and we can do it. And I just want to know how many people would be willing to come.
We don't have to do a poll tonight, because we have an independence committee, and we'll do it more structurally.
Just a hand wave, just wave your hand. If you can just wave your hand for me, I just want to get an idea. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
I just want to get an idea, because, you know, different people say different things. And I think it's time for us to really have a goal. And, you know, I think we're on track. And I just wanted to just see that. And I think that's a good representation.
Yeah, one of the questions was, where did the money go? Alumni associations, generally, if you look at some of the models, I always suggest looking at Spelman, looking at Brandeis. Alumni associations raise money, they give scholarships, they have programs for alumni, they give money to the university for other reasons. You take the Howard football team, may need equipment, or basketball team, or scholarships, book scholarships, tuition scholarships for kids that can't afford to go to school. The idea is not to raise $1 million, y'all. The idea is to raise $1 million seed money and then start an endowment, so that we have the ability to support the university in a meaningful way, instead of this very crippled kind of perspective and dynamic. That means that if we had 1,000 people give $1,000, that's one of the preliminary aspirations, but that's only a starting point. But if we have the seed money, and then we can have a different kind of conversation with the university from a point of view of not being a dependent.
And I also think, I just want to piggyback on that. We have 4 hands raised there: Liz Tavares, Ed Jones, Hockey, and Ms. Pruitt. But I just want to say that as important as it is for us to be able to talk with a big dollar figure, it's also very important for us to be able to talk with a large head count. So don't be deterred by if you only have X amount of dollars. I think it's very powerful for us to be able to say to the university, look, this is not just 200 alum coming together on a random Thursday night. We're talking about, you know, 5,000 alum. They can't even get 5,000 alum to do anything. We can get 5,000 alum to do something. So if we can, so if you only got $10 to give, Donald disagrees with me here, because the money, but I think the numbers of alumni is very important too. Liz Tavares, you're next. Liz.
Hi, I'm virtually raising my hand in support of Randall's recommendation. I didn't really have a question.
Thank you. Thank you for coming tonight. Who did I say? Ed Jones, you're next. Ed, my favorite photographer, where are you? Okay, I don't see him now. Okay, Fahima Sek.
Yes, can you hear me?
We can.
Yeah, I didn't exactly log on at the very beginning, so I don't know if the group is from aware or it's been discussed. The open letter that was written by a faculty member to Nicole Hannah-Jones in Medium. Is everyone aware of that? And was that discussed?
It was briefly discussed. We are aware of it, and it was briefly discussed along with the
pressuring the U.S. Senate for the same thing Congresswoman Lee was
And also in that letter, talking about publicity, if you look at that letter has been reproduced at least 10 times. So so it starts out as one letter and 3,000, the last time I looked, over 3,000 people had read it on Medium, but there are so many other sources that, and you faculty members, if you all know who it is, give them our love.
There's been some articles written. People have taken and written articles about it, because that's how I found out about it, because there was
All over
articles.
It's negative.
All right, another question.
Iona, Ms. Rawlings?
I just figured out how to unmute. This is Ed Jones.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Ed.
My hand was about the donation as well. I don't have any questions.
Okay. Ed Jones, go ahead.
Hi. I'd raise the question of whether or not it might be worthwhile to consider a different alumni weekend other than homecoming. And, I went to grad school at Cornell, again, not about being a follower, but one of the things is about Howard's homecoming is that DC makes a lot of money off of Howard's homecoming. And another thing I'd propose is that the hotels and all these businesses that make tons of money off of Howard alumni filling up. I don't know that they've been approached, mandated, requested about giving 10%, 15% of their proceeds that weekend to Howard University. But separately, like what Cornell does is 2 weeks after graduation in June, they have an alumni weekend for nothing but alumni, and it's a big fundraiser. And so I just wanted to just raise the question of whether or not it might be worthwhile to consider either of those approaches.
And you should join the Alumni Independence Committee. But I will tell you guys a piece of history. So I submitted a proposal to the HU president before Schweiker to do exactly that. I also had a communication with the present president about an alumni weekend, a 3-day weekend in July, where alumni could come with their children, their grandchildren, whoever. We could have a cookout, picnic, and just love up on each other. And then on Saturday, have a business day, Friday night social event, Saturday night concerts, celebrating Howard alums, Sunday prayer day. And because the first time I did it, it went zero. The second time I was told that it couldn't happen unless the university, the alumni couldn't do it independently. That's what I was told, that the university would have to do it. And that went south. But for the record, that did happen. The idea is there. We could probably discuss that.
Let me add a little history. Don, let me add a little history too. I didn't, apparently we think along similar lines. I had proposed something not quite as large as what you proposed, something that was more along the lines of a focus group when I was a alumni trustee, where the trustees would meet with a pretty much randomly selected group of alumni who would come and stay in the residence halls. I thought that was very important to do during the summer time. And there's space available. More classes, we have opportunity to be briefed by the financial people of the university, get an in-depth understanding, and of course have an opportunity to express whatever concerns and suggestions they might have. Deaf ears.
I think the whole thing with the alumni reconstruction, alumni, what's it called, Donald? The alumni
Independence.
Yeah, the current HUAA to me is like a high school social club. That's it. It has no power. It has no influence. It's totally manipulated by the board of trustees and the president, and that's not what it should be. It should be an independent voice, and sometimes you agree with the administration and sometimes you don't, and we should not be stifled in that. So I see your hand, your physical hand, Freddie. Helen Kennard has stepped away, so let's do Helen Kennard if she's there. Edward Johnson, and then Freddie. Helen, are you ready? Ms. Scott?
I just wanted to just add, I sent a copy of the Blue Ribbon Report that was prepared during the time that I was president. In fact, Anita Mayo was really a part of my cabinet at that point. And I think it's important because some of the things that we're talking about now are the things that we did at that point. The alumni club was disenfranchised, and although we were paying dues at that time, we did not get any support from the university. So we actually supported ourselves. So we brought together a group of students, faculty, and alumni together to do several town hall meetings, and actually did some research and included our survey on the hilltop at that time to get feedback from the alumni. And as a result of that, we produced a report. And in that report, we recommended that the alumni give us some funds from the dues. And luckily, we were able to take it before the Board of Trustees, and everything was funded. That was during Joyce Ladner's term of office there. Not only did she give us funds, but she also gave us an office on campus. And so that was very successful. But what we did is to make sure that we had people representing all the regions within the country, and also the faculty and the board, some former Board of Trustees. And it was a negotiation that ended up serving us well, because we got a little bit of funding from the university. And if you look at the report, many of the people who are on these lines were members of that committee. And while I do not have the survey, I think that the way we're going is positive in the sense that you're getting viewpoints from all of the constituent groups, as well as presenting a form of a document that we can really rely on. In that document, there was also a study done by another consultant that talked about the alumni position in relationship to the university. And I think it's very important to read that, because it talks about how the alumni felt disenfranchised and were not viewed as a part of the university. And the report goes on to say that that was not good for the university, and made recommendations in their report as a result of our meetings. And so while it's dated, I think that it may provide you with some information. And we will, as you see, Sarah Davison is on that report. And many, as I said, many of the persons that are on this line. And as Sarah and I have worked together over the years, and each time we have a major event, like the 50-year anniversary of the alumni, we've been able to come together with some of those same people, and they have been able to provide not only funds, but also a technological support for such a move. And I just wanted to remind you of that, and that Sarah even agreed to help you with Facebook, because one of I think the impetus for her doing Facebook is that we did have a list of alumni at that time, but we also found that much of the information was not correct. And we spent a great amount of time just trying to go through and make calls and trying to update that list. And just one final thing, most of the persons who may have been head of the classes have been given the alumni list for their classes. And I think that if you could get some of those folks to join in with you, they probably have a list of the alumni that they were in their classes. And that might be a way that we can just get this list started. And I know Willie Reeves is with us, and Willie is working as my co-chair of the 50-year class. And we have a list, and we have been going through trying to up-to-date list. So, that's it. So we'll be willing to share that with you as well.
I wanted to ask you, what year was that report that you're referring to?
That was, the report was like in 19, oh Lord, I can't, the date, it's in the Blue Ribbon report that I sent to you. So you could take a look to see if you want to share it with the folks. So just take a look, and all that information in the report including the consultant firm's name is in the report.
That's deeply appreciated, and we invite you to join the Alumni Independence Committee. We need that.
Well, I think I think that's something that we can look at, but we need to also look at the Howard University medical alumni, because I'm not sure how the group is formulated at that time, but that might give us at least some idea of how they're functioning with the university.
Thank you so much.
Let's try and get through these last few questions because we're
Thank
getting
you.
kind of late. Thank you. So we have Edward Johnson, Freddie Archer, and please remember the order in case I don't pop back in. Edward Johnson, Freddie Archer, Abdul Muhammad, and Deborah King. And I think, Donald, we should probably cap it at that.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so I don't know who I said first. Mr. Johnson?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Hello, everyone. Hi, Donald. How are you?
Man, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. I'm going to be very candid in my comments. I am a 1967 graduate in architecture, 6-year program. My wife is a 1967 graduate of Morgan. She's very active in her alumni. She went through a 4-year program in Morgan in education. I got a second degree in planning, urban planning from Howard in 1970. So I have 2 degrees. Morgan consistently supports its alumni, and I don't want to go into the details. But Howard, let me say this. We have, as Black Americans, we have fought and died in numerous wars for the right to make decisions, for the right to own land, to right to own buildings, and for the right to vote. So for Howard to come forward in 2021 and say that the backbone, the essence, the foundation of a university, which is its students and its faculty, backed by administration and board, has no rights, is criminal to have this happen. Let me go on. Howard does not support its alumni. The nature of support is buying goods and services. No, number one, recognizing your alumni frequently on television, on radio, whenever you can. Howard doesn't do that, except those that it has personal political relationships with. But beyond the body of African-American graduates from Howard University, it doesn't support. In addition to that, there's only one major source of economic development on the planet. It's called land development. Howard University giving all its land away, selling its projects, as opposed to buying goods and services and promoting its folks with TV programs, with radio programs, with acknowledgement and public presentation. That makes a difference. And until this happens, where we are buying goods and services from us and promoting us and stop disrespecting its alumni, it will never grow. It will never be a great university. It just so happens at a time when Blacks are getting recognized in America because slavery, although abolished 1865, and a lot of Blacks, including George and a whole series of others have died in the past couple of years. Finally, whites out of fear, out of sadness, are beginning to recognize. But until Howard grows up and starts respecting all of us and buying goods and services, I hear all the time, Howard buys very little from Blacks. This is ridiculous. A major Black university in this country, and it buys very little from its alumni. And we provide services in every area imaginable. That is key. And so I volunteered when I participated on this meeting last week, and I volunteer again to help. Yeah, I don't mind giving a few bucks, but I'm a native Washingtonian as well. I live here. I'm very outspoken. To talk about how it has abused me personally, in 1968, I got 3 fellowships, one from Doxiadis, the biggest planner on the planet, U.S. Housing and Urban Development. They only gave 50 in America, and the U.S. Department of Transportation. Do you know what? Howard gave all the money back except $500 because they didn't even give me a chance to justify it. Beyond that, one other point, when Swaggart was president, Eddie Johnson, I'm also a fine artist. I got an idea to generate incredible recognition for Howard and make a lot of money, which is doing what? To having an art show festival on the campus of Howard University. I got commitments from the folks who control the library, the Student Center, and Crampton Auditorium to utilize these facilities for a whole weekend to bring in the greatest artists that we have, which at the time was Elizabeth Catholic and Pierre Noel Jones. They volunteered to work with me. We worked with faculty for an entire year to put this together. Talk to the major corporations in America. All we asked them to do is pay the price for whatever the art is being sold for, not no discount. And Howard would get 60%, or the students would, I'm sorry, the artists would get 60-40. We worked on an average about 18 people in the Student Center for an entire year putting this together. We had major corporations committed to support us. This would give Howard University incredible credibility. And after a whole year, Harry Robinson, who was the vice president at that time, came to me and said, we don't want to do this. So you wonder why Howard, we wonder why Howard has its problems. It doesn't have vision. It disrespects its students. It disrespects its faculty. It does not buy goods and services from us. Now, yeah, a few, only those who have personal political contacts. But in terms of making decisions to buy goods and services from us, who sell goods and services all over this country in every area imaginable that Howard needs, it doesn't do that. I've done more business with the hospital over years and almost nothing with Howard University Hospital. I even won a zoning case. I'm not even a lawyer. Won a zoning case for Howard University Hospital. So I'm saying if we're going to make a difference, we need to encourage them to spend, not only give us recognition and treat us with respect, but also to buy goods and services from our alumni for all these qualified firms that exist in this country. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent point. And also, I think that we have to jump on that and say, not only are we being disenfranchised at Howard University, but they're doing it at a time that in the nation we're being disenfranchised as Black voters. It's just incredible. Ms. Archer, you're next.
Okay, and I'll try to keep it brief. Freddie Lewis Archer, class of 1971. I was in the Liberal Arts College. A couple of things. One, I think that we're putting pressure, and I think it would be unfortunate if we waited until the fall to continue the pressure. So if we're going to come to DC, if we're going to make a presence, take a stand, and have some type of a presence at the university, it should be either August or September. Whenever the students return to school, we need to have some type of position and maybe have a press conference or whatever. But that would be, I think, a more appropriate time to do it instead of doing it at homecoming. I think that it would take some of the luster off the seriousness of what we're trying to do if we waited until October. The second thing is that I know that a soror of mine is on. Her name is Hazel Harper Johns. Hazel is the past national president of the National Dental Association, and we have been talking. She is already getting folks stirred up to sign the next letter, to get engaged, to get involved. And I think we have to do that with all of the colleges within this university. Go to past leaders, go to people who we know who have been leaders in affiliate organizations, National Bar Association, National Medical Association, all of them. We have got to get all of those people engaged and get them signed up. And we need to come to the university as soon as possible and not wait until homecoming to take care of the situation. It's too serious of a matter. Thank you.
I wanted to tell you thank you, and that's spot on, because if each one of us knows 10 or 20, 30 alumni that are not involved in this conversation and that don't understand how serious it is, if we can reach out, that's why we have the committees, and you would be perfect, and I hope you join the committees.
I will.
And even your point, I mean, we're mindful of the timing. I just want to delineate something, because we're not really gauging what's going to happen with students. We just support them, and the alumni in this particular situation have expressed exactly what you said, to my amazement. But I never proffered that alumni would go to the school and show some kind of protest or something, but that's something that can be thought about. But I can tell you this, we're not waiting till September, and we're thinking, and I want to just assure you, everybody on this call, that we are thinking, and we are busy, and we're planning, and we're listening, and we're researching. So those committees are going to be working and things are going to be happening. And we're going to be having additional meetings. The next step in this discussion is to have that town hall meeting. And that town hall meeting is where all the stakeholders are invited. We're going to invite the administration, give the administration a formal opportunity to have this discourse with us that we're having now, so that we can be transparent. But then there are other steps that we're looking at that we will share with you at an appropriate time. Thank you.
Okay, it's Mr. Keno. I see your physical hand waving there. So we're going to get to you. But I'm going to do Mr. Mohammed, Ms. Johnson, Ms. Keno, and Ms. England. And I swear that's it. We really got to get, it's getting late. Mr. Mohammed, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm still with you. Can
Yes,
you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I've been on a number of these calls, and I think the idea of having a town hall with the administration is a good idea. But I will say that I'm very troubled by the notion that we would put or interject the congressional appropriation into this discussion, or even raise the specter, even, allow that to come out of our mouths. I don't think that that should ever be used as a chip to try to get leverage with the board. It seems to me that would be cutting off our nose to spite our face. That kind of language really scares me, to tell you the truth. And I'm just going to put it there. Perhaps Attorney Temple can clarify, what he meant by that, and how it would have, influenced some of our opponents on Capitol Hill. Why would that come into the discussion? I need clarification on that.
I'd be happy.
That's all. That's the only question I have. Thank you, Don.
And I want to thank you, man. It's good to see you. I don't think that we've ever said that we were going to wave the flag of this issue in the face of our enemies on Capitol Hill, or for that matter, even our friends. What we said was that we're disturbed that at a time when we worked through, I was counsel for the students in 2018. I was in those meetings that were very intense with the board, and the board was struggling to manage resolution of student dissent. Student dissent and dissent historically in these situations, whether it's 1968 or 2000, and whether it's 1989 or 2018, student dissent, trustee dissent, faculty dissent is resented. It's not received. If it were received, we wouldn't be here today, because we'd be having an intelligent discussion about the board's concerns about the faculty, trustee, or students. What I said was, some reason, somehow, the board decided to create this dispute at a time when Howard is doing wonderfully well in so many other areas. It is making progress with to some extent, we thought, with faculty. And so to get the cup to the lip for you, and I told this to people, to literally people on the board of trustees, you picked a fight on a substantive issue, and you forced a battle of principle, one of integrity, one of accountability, one of transparency with your stakeholders at a time when you didn't need to have that fight. And you can't blame us because you're going to get press. And when you get press, people pay attention to the press. We don't ask for press. We didn't pick this battle. We wanted it to go away. We've done everything in our power to contain it. Even when our letter went out, we said last week that we would not speak to the press about the alumni letter. So when you saw the blog that came out this week about this dispute by prominent journalists, there was no reference to anybody having said anything or giving any information. So we've done everything that we could do to protect the board. The problem is this, and that I'm saying here in the context of whatever is happening politically, is that because we're put in this position to defend our values, that there's going to be press. There's already press. There's going to be coverage of this issue. You know, the board has put itself in that position and it is causing harm to itself, not us. We're not going to run to the Congress, but the Congress, the city council, the press, the public, all pay attention to Howard. And it was
Let me add something to that. Let me add something to that that's very critical. And we've discussed it before in this meeting, but it hasn't come up tonight. And I want to say it because we have people who were not on our previous calls. It is my considered opinion, based upon my experience as an alumni trustee, that the board is not acting in good faith. And so the point that Donald just made is underlined by that fact. Here we find ourselves trying to protect our beloved alma mater from itself. That's what we're here to do. We're here to point out to the university that the top levels of the decision-making at Howard University requires the input and vote of its affiliate trustees. And that by removing them, by eliminating those positions in the dark of the night, during a pandemic, during the summer, and presenting us all with a fait accompli, they have acted in bad faith. If they had wanted to act in good faith, they could have had any number of different ways of reaching out to alumni, to students, faculty, say, look, here are our concerns. We have some serious concerns here, and we need to find a way to work together to resolve them. But instead, they've kicked us away from the decision-making table. That's bad faith, and there's more to it than that.
Let me just say something before we continue. I just want to underscore something, and I promise you this. I have an engaging practice of law. I've spent a lot of time meeting and I've had conversations with people that I know, and we have tried, we had an extensive discussion with Reed Tuckson. There are other discussions that are ongoing with decision makers. I can assure you with every ounce of my being that we have done everything in our power. It's evident in the letter that we've written. It's evident in everything that we're doing. The fact that we're having a third meeting here, and we've done everything in our power to try to resolve this. But I can also tell you this, and I want you to hear what I'm saying. And it's not my opinion. Anybody that's been working on this issue, whether it's Rock, whether it's Hewitt Brown, anybody that's working on this issue that knows what we're doing will tell you this. The University Board of Trustees is absolutely concretized and entrenched in its position. It will not change its position because it has calculated the risk of its decision. This is a very deliberate, well thought out decision, notwithstanding what you hear. And the reasons that we are being told are pretextual. There are procedural dynamics here that happen. So I am telling you that the reason why we're so adamant about organizing, because we know, and that's why I posted the 1968 article. And if he's on this call, will tell you that the same attitudes that existed in 68 in terms of the board and the way that it viewed trustees, students, and faculty is beginning to show itself in 2021. And it will not budge. The integrity of our discussions coming from across the board, the intellectual, analytical integrity of these discussions. Timothy Jenkins from 1960 forward gave an eloquent presentation about the issue and expressed his outrage and said, you're making a mistake. Hewitt Brown, 1968, has said he's outraged, you're making a mistake. April Silver, 1989, joining the call and the leadership has said you're making a mistake. And so, but the board and the administration have decided that this is the direction they're going to go. And they believe that no matter what you or I do, no matter what the faculty does, no matter what the students do, that logic that we have shared with them in terms of that letter, the 2020 study on shared governance, they have decided this is what they are going to do and that we cannot stop them, period.
Don, I had not planned to talk, but I need to say this. I was my sophomore in 1968 in the takeover. And I just want to say this for those who are concerned about Congress, because I am a lobbyist. And that is with the takeover, after the takeover in 68, Martin Luther King's assassination shortly thereafter, we came very close to Congress shutting us down. So I just want everybody to understand that we do what we need to do, but we can't control when that information gets out or how it gets out or what the reaction is going to be. I sent around the link to the appropriations report in the House just so people would have that information. But let me say that, you know, this is a long fight. I have been through a similar one. I'm 26 years as an adjunct at George Washington University, and now a card-carrying member of SEIU. Hat off to the faculty, organized, because these people are really difficult to deal with. And I just think that what you all have put together tonight and going forward is a great thing to do. Good to see you, Don.
Great to see you. For those who don't know, Julius Hobson Jr. is the son of the legendary self-determination activist for the District of Columbia, hero in the District of Columbia, Julius Hobson. And thank you, Julius, for your remarks. We should start wrapping it up. It's 10 o'clock.
Yeah, we are. We have Deborah King, Zeno, Erica England. And honestly, I think that we have Dr. Carr on this call. We need to give him a moment to give us some historical perspective. And if he's a tenured professor, I believe, so he can maybe speak to the situation with faculty, and then I think we should wrap it up.
Yeah, let me just say this. It's 10:05 with all the respect, folks.
So if you have to sign
close
off.
out by 10:15. So can we get those questions? And I do think that Dr. Carr's comments will be welcomed.
All right, Ms. King, you've been waiting for a while. Can you be brief, please? Thank you.
All right, Deborah King Johnson, class of 71, 74 faculty, and I've had numerous responsibilities in athletics and special events, and you name it, I've done it. My concern is I wish this group or the faculty group had gotten together when the faculty was being pushed into a corner in terms of unionizing. My point is, homecoming is never the best time for us to meet on business. So the September, and I looked at the football schedule, I'm also the faculty athletic rep. I looked at the football schedule, September, when there are less interest, there are dates that would be good for us to come in, not be pressured with the hotels. We could probably negotiate one hotel and get our alum in there. Second, I wanted to find out the donation. Is there a timeline? Is there a week that you want us to, Damani, to start making a donation so that we make an impact? We don't want nickel and dime here and there. I would like to have a week that's set for the alumni to send that 1968 or thereafter to show that we are in strength. So that's my point.
That's a good.
There's been a couple of comments in the chat about that, Deborah, and I think that it bears some consideration. I've asked Thena in the chat to take a look at this from a technical point of view, how we can coordinate this in a way that we can, in effect, bundle the contributions. Someone else made the comment that we need numbers, and that's true. We need numbers of people, and we need numbers of people who are going to contribute if that's going to be one of our efforts. So
We probably need another committee, don't we? Like a fundraiser committee, Tina? Just a thought.
Let's not try to figure that out right now, but
For the future.
let's see what we can do.
Next question.
Erica England. Oh, I'm sorry, Keno, and then Erica and Dr. Carr, and we're done. Keno? Did he leave? Oh, he had his hand up for quite a while. Erica, go ahead.
Hi, how are you guys this evening? Yes, I'm actually a current student at Howard University.
Hey!
Yes, I saw the someone sent me the link and told me you all were having a meeting tonight, so I wanted to join and just ask a couple of questions. So for one, a couple of students, well, a handful of students and I are planning a town hall on Sunday and would love if alumni would come and hear how students are feeling about this right now. Students are really facing a lot, especially on the heels of COVID. And I think this couldn't have been a worse time for the Board of Trustees to remove our representation. I know of right now a group of like close to 200 students that are without housing and that are currently looking for housing, and some that are in fear of, whether they should come back to Howard or risk being homeless for a little while until they can figure out a housing situation. It's a lot of students looking for housing right now. That's one of the main issues that we're facing. And then when I actually gave a call to the Residence Life Department yesterday and spoke to someone about, how to help find housing for all these students, the young lady that I spoke with pointed me to the website and said, oh, well, if you can't find anything on the website, that's all we can offer you. And you just have to find it on your own. So there's mostly juniors and seniors who are not being guaranteed housing that are concerned on whether they're going to be able to come back to Howard, because a lot of the faculty, I think, have been given the option. From what I have heard, they've been given the option on whether they're going to continue virtual learning or offer a virtual option for students, which I think is within their right to do. But then that also means that students need to be able to have the opportunity to return to campus if they so choose. So yes, we'll be holding a town hall for students, and we're also welcoming board, alumni, faculty, staff to visit as well, to visit with us and talk with us on our town hall on Sunday. It'll be at 5 p.m. I'm really interested in knowing what alumni foresee as how to best help students. But we're really feeling the pinch of gentrification and being displaced from DC proper, and it hurts all the more to know that Howard is also displacing us.
Yep.
Thank you.
Good
Thank you
point.
for that.
Dr. Carr, you're next.
Thank you, Erica.
Hey, before you go there, I just wanted to tell the young lady that, we will be supporting you, and we are mindful. We're talking to the USIP president, but anything and everything that alumni can do, we're going to try to do, because we've been where you are. And I just want to tell you, thank you for having the courage to speak out. We really appreciate you and your comments. Thank you.
Erica, can you drop that link for the town hall in the chat? We've had, I think, is it already out there? It's already, okay. Dr. Carr?
Thank you.
Greg, please, Helen, I'm gonna keep this very brief. I want to thank you all. And you're right, as a stakeholder, I mean, I hate to use that language, but we're community, and I'm certainly going to reach out to my colleagues. We have the president of the faculty senate is in the meeting. I saw he dropped something in the chat. So Marcus Alfred is here, but we also know the faculty senate, one of the challenges we have is that with the number of faculty on campus, many of them are not involved in the senate. And, so I'm glad to have gotten the email from Damani. Thank you, brother. And DT, appreciate that. I mean, you all really have put it where it is. I think we're at an inflection point. I think a lot of things are driving this to have nothing to do with this conversation. I was on the negotiating committee for the adjunct contract, and we made a great deal of progress. And we went into that on the faculty side, the tenure track faculty and tenured faculty, and I am tenured. We went in with the idea that we are colleagues. Let's work this out. I don't think Howard ever wanted to have a contract with those folk. I was relieved of my position and with no explanation. And the next thing you know, they had shut down negotiations. And Rift, the brother, Leroy Jenkins, who was the lawyer who was leading the negotiations. So I'll end with this. I'm grateful there's so many lawyers and high-powered lawyers. I know some of y'all. So when you said bad faith, brother, I'm like, the thing that's going to save Howard University from itself are the people in this conversation. And I can tell you, after having been there 20 years, that this is about neoliberalism. It's about the changing face of Washington, D.C. in this country. It's all about money. And with all due respect to my friends, Ta-Nehisi Coates and Nicole Hannah-Jones, you know, renting celebrity names is not instruction. And you're going to have a bunch of 18 to 20-some-year-olds who are going to expect to see them in the classroom. They're going to be severely disappointed in August. But the messaging, the bent of conversations on campus are basically shaped to the sensibilities of 18 to 20-some-year-olds. And when you hear somebody like Miss England, who was my former student, Erica England, good sister, she's absolutely right. COVID has changed everything. We don't know what's going to happen in the fall. Erica, the cap currently that we got is 40. Anybody with a class over 40 is supposed to be virtual because they don't know what's going to happen. And that's before the Delta variant. But we're not talking about infrastructure. They had a year and a half, and then y'all been on campus in the last year. You ask yourself a simple question. What did y'all do for a year and a half? Because to my eye, they haven't done much. And when freshmen who've never been on campus, sophomores who've never been on campus, and juniors who have never been on, who've been on campus for a semester and 2 months come back next month, this rubber's gonna hit the road. And I promise you, the thing that's gonna save Howard University are the people in this room. This is a grown folks conversation. So I'm with y'all 100%. I'm gonna try to get some more of my colleagues and just thank you all, really, because this gives me life. This is the most important conversation I've been involved in Howard University in longer than I can count. And that's a damn shame, but thank you. Thank you.
You know, I had asked the question how much money had come in since the George Floyd situation, and Ms. Claudette Berry indicated that the school has received $500,000. The capstone has been tracking it. So we need to ask, why is it that students are looking for housing? Why is it that faculty, adjunct faculty is only being paid $48,000? Lots of questions, so.
Well, let me try to close it out here. And I don't know how much money, but I know there's millions of dollars that are coming by way of this whole struggle. But we can keep doing research. And the critical thing is that we keep doing research so that we know what the hell we're talking about. And the other thing is this, and I want to share this with you, Dr. Carr and Erica, because when in the 2018 student protest, there was something that the students had learned from the previous protests. We spent 2 days negotiating an anti-retaliation protection of students memo for students that had protested. The students were astute enough to know that the history of the university for purposes of dissent was retaliation. And I think that we need to keep that front and center, because Dr. Carr just spoke here and he indicated that there was an incident of retaliation negotiation, but Dr. Carr himself has done something that I criticize the faculty about, because the faculty is not stepping up to the game in terms of what we're doing. You know, there's a conversation here and there, but we need the faculty to know that they should be free to dissent and to disagree, because dissent and engagement is what makes our whole existence more productive. And so I say that to say that we have to protect the Dr. Carrs and the Ericas. Fortunately, as trustees, at least there's no direct way we can be retaliated against. But I can tell you that I have friends on the board that have been angered by my position that my involvement in this effort, and almost told me that it's ridiculous what I think and what we're doing. So I just think that we need to really understand what Dr. Carr said. And what I said earlier, this whole thing is pretextual. Beneath the surface, beneath the rock that's beneath the rock that's beneath the rock, there's something bigger here. And we don't know about it because there's not transparency. We're being told, trust me. And that trust is not being earned. So we're going to continue to work. I want to thank everyone. I would ask everyone to sign up for something. Don't be passive. Express your views electronically. Let people know. Talk to your alumni friends. Support the students. And we're going to come back with even more concrete activities than we can even state right now. Thank you for.
Wait, correction, 500 million has been.
That's more like
I was
it.
gonna say, it could be 500,000 because Ms. Bezo gave way more than that. So yeah, so thank you, Ms. Berry, for that correction.
And let me just add to what Donald said. One of the things that we really need everyone on this call to do is to reach out to 10 other alumni, faculty, or students. Get them on your mailing list. When you receive the notice, you send it to them. They may not open the email from DT or from me. When you get the notice, you send it to them. We've got to multiply our numbers, y'all. Good night, y'all, and thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Great call, great call, everybody.
Great meeting, Donald. Great.
And we've had 4 meetings. Let us not forget that Bill King had the very first meeting immediately after this happened, and we had it capped at 100 because that's all his call could hold. And we've been doing this consistently, so thank you. Good night.
Good night, y'all. Good night, and thank you, everyone.
Thank
you.
Good night.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
Good night. Thank you.
Let's go to work.
Thank you. Thank you. It was awesome.
Good night. Really good meeting. Yeah.
Great meeting and very informative.
Marsha, I see your thumbs up. That's a good thing. Yes, come back next week and bring a friend. Miss Scott, we'll look for you next week with a friend.
Great meeting, great idea.
Is there a way to get a copy of the recording of the meeting? I missed part of it.
We are recording the meeting, so I don't think Donald would object to that. Do we, Bill King? There's no objection, is there? And Bill usually posts them anyway, so. Yes, Bill?
When I can figure out how to do it, I do.
I just learned this week how to make so we'll do that.
So where do I look for the recording, please?
Just let me know if you need help.
What we can do, we get from the.
Contact the communications committee.
Yeah. That's a good answer.
Okay. Who's on the communications committee?
Look, no phone numbers were given up tonight for folks to contact.
That's true.
You should give up some phone numbers for people to contact if you want support.
Okay.
So
Eddie Johnson, how are you? We met years ago. I don't know if you remember. With Sheila Johnson, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'll support. Who do I call?
Bill King.
No, I think he means who can he call at the university?
No, well, that too, but who can I call to participate on one of these committees?
Oh, contact me. I'll put my my email in the chat, and just I'm putting it in there right now.
Give me your phone number.
Phone number's not good for me, man.
Okay. That's all right. Okay, go ahead.
So it's in the chat. Just email me, and I'll. And you probably received the email from me, so I should already be in your your contact list.
Why don't you can give Dean King your phone number, Eddie, and he can call you.
Okay.
No, that's okay. I'm not a phone person, y'all.
Okay. All right.
All right, y'all. Good night.
Good night, all. God
Hello,
bless.
is Donald still there?
May God continue to
Hello?
grant vision and support. Good night.
Hey, you're,
Oh, man.
I'm gonna sign
I
off,
must have,
everybody. There's still 48 people on this call. Y'all still want to talk, but we're gonna end this thing. Angela, nice to meet you. Face to face, put a face with a name.
Good to meet you too, Helen.
Name familiar to me. Are you faculty?
No, I am alumna.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right, so I'm gonna stop the recording.
I'm trying to take copies of all the links I can send people who told me they called in but couldn't see the chat. So that's what I'm